This is Chuck Huber, the voice of Android 17. You're listening to Anime Seekers. You better be, or I'm coming for you. Dragon of the Darkness, Flame!
Warning, this podcast contains some adult language. Proceed at your own risk.
Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Hey guys, I'm Hunter Dino. I'm your pink Dino Fury Power Ranger and your red Cosmic Fury Power Ranger, and you're listening to Toku Secrets podcast.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin time! Link to the Morphin. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Smokin' Silver.
And I'm Rizwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
And we're Toku Secrets. Hello guys, and welcome to episode number 130 of the Toku Secrets podcast, presented by animesecrets.org. And today, we're taking a break from our Boom Boomger reviews, and we're also, before we, get to Gingaman and all that, we actually are going to be taking a bit of a detour, because today we have on two guests. Riz and I are here. For those who are listening on Spotify, we have a guest. You guys may remember the Rail Riders, the fan production of Ressha Sentai ToQger. Well, today we have two of the people behind that, that production Zenith Films on. We have Justin Weber and Todd. What's your last name, Todd?
Walsh.
Todd Walsh. And we have them both on. How are you guys doing today?
All right.
Doing all right. Sun came up. I'm on the right side of the dirt, so I'm doing pretty good.
Hey, that's the right place to be in the dirt if you have to be in the dirt.
I mean, unless your profession is working in the dirt, in which case you're not in the dirt, then you're not making money. You're not making money. You're not paying bills.
Yeah. But I just want to say it's really exciting to have you guys here. And
Thank you.
the first time I heard about your project was Rail Riders. One of our viewers for Anime Secrets mentioned to me, hey, have you guys heard about Power Rangers Rail Riders? It's an adaptation of ToQger. My first reaction was, an adaptation of ToQger? I'm very intrigued, but I have a lot of doubts, because we're talking about ToQger. So I found a link to the YouTube, and then I realized YouTube has all the weird copyright stuff. So I went to your website and watched the episode. And I watched episode 1, and I immediately picked up my phone, and I texted Nathan. I was like, Nate, I found something really incredible, and I don't know what to do with myself right now. We gotta find these guys.
Yeah, it was. And funnily enough, that was a time where we had to postpone one of our podcasts because some of our guys were kind of behind on the episodes we were reviewing. So Riz and I decided to improvise, and we reviewed your first episode. Yeah. So it was almost perfectly timed.
It was really well timed, especially given it was Time Force and Time Ranger that we were looking at the time. That's my one pun for the podcast.
Okay, there he is with the bad puns again. Yeah, I apologize to our guest. Making bad puns is his thing. So
it only started with Rail Riders, I have to say.
Yeah, that's actually true.
But no, I'm really happy to have you guys here. And I just want to say, you guys have done something here with Power Rangers Rail Riders that I never thought I would see from a fan production that didn't have, a big GoFundMe backing or something. Because I looked, and I don't think I saw any kind of like GoFundMe or anything.
Yeah, there wasn't any. This was 100% self-funded.
Yeah, and see, that in itself just makes it even more incredible, because I think we said this on the podcast, guys, but what you guys did in three episodes, I don't think even the greatness that was Saban had done that at certain points in their own runs, or Disney or Hasbro. Like, there are some seasons that I think you guys did a better job than they did.
Well, of course, because
Aww.
Saban sucks.
I mean, yes, they do suck, and um, that's not a hard line to go over, but the dedication, the time that you guys must have put into this, I mean, geez, man, that you know, I think my first question is, where did this all begin for you guys with the Power Ranger stuff? Because I know y'all did some stuff before that was not Toku related, right?
Right. So we've been active for, gosh, probably like, I think I started Zenith back in high school, so this was probably about 12, give or take, years ago, back in like 2012. And I started it with somebody else, namely a friend of mine named Ariel Cooper and Caitlin Nelson. Um, and then a few years later, come down the line, I met Todd. I actually met him at a local comic book shop that he was working at. Him and I hit it off. And funny enough, it was actually ToQger that I was sitting there because we were talking about Power Rangers and Super Sentai and all that, and he was saying like, yeah, eventually like I want to go through them all. And I was like, you gotta check out the train one, man. It's out right now. It's fucking trains. I'm sorry, excuse me. I apologize. I'm trying to swear. um, uh, yeah, I was just like, you really got to check out the trains, and he kept sitting there just like, maybe. I mean, it sounds really ridiculous, and that was, gosh, like 10 years ago. So from there, I pulled Todd on. He was originally, I think he got brought on. Was it with Sirens that we brought you on?
The one about the guy who gets the letter.
Send Off. That's right.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, because we were working on it at the same time. So we had another fan production that we were working on for a long time called Gotham City Sirens, based off of the DC comic of the same name. And it completely crashed and burned. Never even saw the light of day because I completely dropped the ball in terms of managing it. I was very new then. That was a huge. I stand by. If it was not for Sirens and me making the egregious amount of screw ups that I did, Power Rangers would have not happened. But yeah, so then we were active for a while. We did a lot of short films. I remember it was back in, I think it was 2019. We had like all these different ideas for short films that me and Todd kept pitching around because we've been roommates for a long time. And he comes up to me one day. This was like dead middle of summer. I think this was 2019. And he's just like, why don't we sit down? Let's write out everything that we want to do, and let's just do it. Let's, cut the excuses. Let's stop, saying this, and that as to why we can't do certain things, and let's just do it. And that was, this huge fire under my butt to actually have gone out and do it. So I think what was the very first thing that we did off that list? Was it?
It was the one with about the driver.
About the that's right. Pace. Yeah, so that was a really that was a really small one, and then we did. Was it How They Almost Got Him? Was it next?
It was either that one or Sicarius.
Yeah, I think because we did those like back to back, and then we did Jim's Farewell. We did Jim's Farewell, and then we shot Left of the Altar, and we were blitzing through a bunch of stuff. And then of course, with Power Rangers, where we got the idea was I was watching YouTube one day, and I was watching fanmore videos, and I actually came across a short film called, what was it, Grid Defense Graduation Day. Have you guys heard of it?
Yeah, I saw. It's by Database Ranger, right?
I think that's what he's called. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So I remember watching that, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, this is why haven't we done this? This makes so much sense. And I just was like, Todd, get in here. And I showed him, I pitched him the idea, and we're sitting there, we're looking at it, and he's like, I mean, I guess, yeah, we can do this. And then he looks at me, and he's just like, why don't we do Lupat? Because, Todd was a huge Lupat fan, and so was I. So he pitches to me, let's do Lupat, and we're like, let's just do a short little fan morph video. And we're like, cool, let's do the fan morph video. And it was originally just going to be some of our friends, and then we were just going to do one, 2-minute thing, bing, bam, boom, we were going to be done. And then we're like, hey, what if we got some of our friends that are martial artists? maybe we can do like put a little bit of a fight scene behind it, make it a little bit cooler. And he agreed to it. And then I said, well, what if we probably put a little bit of a story behind it and we made it into a short film? And he's just like, okay. And it just kept ballooning the idea. And then eventually we're like, okay, so what we're gonna do like a 15 episode miniseries, and it's gonna be awesome. And we've already got this cast picked out, and it's gonna be so cool, even though we really didn't have anything set up for it. And we were slowly starting to go back into the exact same route that we were doing with Gotham City Sirens. And at that point we're like, okay, let's pump those brakes. That we're about to crash and burn again. And then we hadn't even announced anything yet. We were keeping it really close to the chest. It did manage to find its way out there. A bunch of people heard about it. It was called Power Rangers Underworld at the time. A lot of people kept hearing about it, and a lot of people were excited about it. And we're like, crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. Now people are hearing about it. Crap. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Oh, there's a deadly virus going on. Oh, and we got the world shutting down for a while. Oh, darn shucks doodles, guys. I guess we gotta shelve the project for a while. Oh, thank fucking God, we were so screwed. Guys, I'm so sorry. We gotta completely, shut this thing down for a while. We'll come back to it in a while. Thank fucking God, we were not ready for this. Okay, guys, we'll see you in however long. So then I don't know why my camera's all of a sudden.
I think you hit the table or something.
Maybe. So about what was it? I want to say it was like a year and a half, maybe 2 years later. Todd comes. I go up to Todd and I was like, "Hey, COVID's starting to wind down. We were trying to do all this other stuff in the meantime. I think it's finally time for us to pull that off the shelf and dust it off." Todd looks at me. He's just like, "Well, what if we not be stupid this time and do something smaller first?" And I was like, begrudgingly said yes because I was very excited to do big things, but he's keeping me pulled on that leash. And we said, okay, let's take the formula that we were planning on doing, making episodes of Power Rangers using unused Sentai. Let's do maybe let's do one, and he said let's do one episode. Let's see how it works. It's just gonna be one short film, and if it does good, cool. We'll go on to do the next thing. And we were like, okay, well, what's the most recently completed Sentai? Kira Major? We'll call it Gem Paladins. Bing, bam, boom. And then we're like, okay, well, next we'll do, how about instead of, just, doing that and then immediately jumping into the big thing, why don't we keep, cranking it up? That way we can make sure that this formula and this is going to be like a long-term successful kind of thing. Because, you could have Paladins, it could be lightning in a bottle, and then the next one's just going to completely not work. So we're like, okay, well, what should we do after that? The animal one, Zyuohger, looks good. So fun fact, Zyuohger was originally supposed to be second. Okay, the trains, I guess we'll do third. Cool, and then we can go on to the big thing. And they're like, no. Let's do some more after that. So I'm not gonna say exactly what, but yeah. So the original plan was originally going to be Gem Paladins, Beast Hunters, Rail Riders, and then I think it was like a couple months before the original, when we were originally supposed to film Beast Hunters, which was back in late 2022. We had a lot of scheduling issues, and then we're like, all right, Beast Hunters, get out of there. We'll come back to you later. Rail Riders, you guys good to go? Cool, get in there. Crap, now it's winter. All right, guess we got to start a little bit later. So, and then we made Rail Riders.
And so, how does your process work in terms of story writing? Because when I was watching episode 1 and 2 with Nate, what I noticed is impeccable scene transition from where you guys are, and I think you said Detroit, right?
Yeah, we're in Detroit.
Yeah, from Detroit to random Sentai location. Like some of those locations are really on spot, especially in I think it was the second episode when you're in the forest. Well, the scenes just flowed so well, and I'm just kind of wondering how much time did y'all spend watching and rewatching ToQger to match the footage to get what you wanted with what you had available to you in the area?
We literally rewatched the whole series before we even wrote it.
Yeah, because I think I watched it when it originally came out, and then you watched it like, what was it, like a month? Like over the course of like a month, you watched the entire show.
Yeah. Which does come in very handy at the end of the day, because it comes back into your mind, and then you can figure out what episodes we're going to use, and then figure out the locations from there.
Frankly, in terms of matching locations, that was just sheer dumb luck. Sheer dumb luck. We just knew a bunch of places, and we were like, we filmed here before, and it vaguely resembles these places that they look like in the Sentai. Because you ever notice, most Sentais, they use the same exact locations every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we didn't even necessarily need to watch ToQger for it. We could just watch any Sentai.
I mean, fair. It was just amusing to me when I realized how clean that transition was, because I remember certain seasons of Power Rangers, the transition from where they are in the Sentai footage to the American footage is a bit more jarring. And I'm thinking, Nate, of that example you and I talked about in Time Force with the
There's like
quantum.
like even during like what's considered like the golden age of Power Rangers, sometimes the transition from like where they're standing in original footage when they're in civilian form to when they morph, like they're just completely egregious changes like that. And the scene we're talking about is where like it's in the 2-part episode Clash for Control, where Wes and Eric are like arguing because Wes wants to get the morpher back from him. And when Wes and Eric are in civilian form, they're talking in the middle of like this big power plant looking thing. But when they morph and then they go into the Sentai footage, they're in the middle of like some big warehouse district. Looks nothing like what Jason Font and Dan Southworth were just standing around all over the place. And that was the big thing that really stood out to me with your guys' production. How, I mean, you just said, Justin, that, you know, a lot of these places that you like film in, you say that they vaguely resemble the things that are in the Sentai footage. It's a pretty almost seamless transition to me, like way better than anything Saban did.
Well, that's kind of the trick behind it, is the less descriptive the location is, the better. So like general forest. Okay, we just had to find a forest that has the trees that look vaguely similar, just skinny, long trees. Cool, that's all we need. If we were looking for something like a cityscape, cityscapes are the hardest, because you're looking for a specific kind of layout. You're looking like, is it very clustered? Does it have big open skies to it? For a really good example, we like to film a lot in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of U of M, the big medical school that's out here.
Mm-hmm.
We film a lot out there. So like you go downtown, a lot of the buildings are very clustered together, so you can't even see the sky. But if you look in most Sentai footage, a lot of those cities are parted out. You can see that skyline. So we have to be very mindful of that, where we have to look for, okay, it looks like a busy, bustling city with a big open skyline. But if it's too clustered or if it's too open, those are things that will definitely give it away.
Was there ever any location you had to do a lot of traveling to get to, or were they all relatively nearby?
Stairs.
Yeah, the stairs.
Stairs. Those fucking
Stairs?
Stairs. Todd, you want to tell them?
We are having difficulty finding a building with very, very many stairs.
If you look in most Sentai footage, they will often have fight scenes, or they'll have scenes in front of like these bigger buildings with these massive staircases. And we've been looking for 2 years in this general area, looking for just these specific stairs, and we can't find them, and it infuriates me to no end.
Dang.
It has been like, I will put it to you this way: if I found a genie tomorrow, I wouldn't wish for money. I'd wish for those damn stairs. Just to say, like, it's out of my life. I never have to worry about it again. I know where to go. I'll travel miles away for it just to finally do it, to get this dang thing to match. But I can't find these darn stairs, man.
Could that just be like, maybe it's I don't know, maybe I'll have to ask my wife if like my wife is from Japan, if maybe like buildings with like, where staircases are a bit more visible or just more common in Japan than they are here in the United States.
I think it's just they're more common. I
Yeah.
can't tell you personally.
Because the only places that actually have stairs are usually state buildings. And, we do a lot of guerrilla. So, filming in front of a state building is not particularly the best idea.
I mean, it could be, but
Yeah.
handcuffs aren't fun.
So, I think it's the one thing I want to say, not necessarily a question, but like, Riz was asking, like, do you want, like, you watch the whole Sentai before like you write the episodes? Like, do you take notes on like which footage like you want to use for like a particular episode? And the reason why I ask is because, granted, I'm probably never going to be able to film this. This is more of just a thing that I'm writing, but like I'm trying to do a like my own little like reimagined version of Megaforce where I have the characters, but I'm doing it differently, and I'm trying to stay true to the Sentai footage when I write it. So maybe I watch like the Go Sager episode, and then try to figure out like what footage is compatible there that I could write in versus like do you use a similar process with that?
Oh yeah. So normally, what I do personally when we're picking out the footage, generally I'll do it 2 times. I will do it when we do our first watch through. Normally I've watched the seasons because a lot of seasons I've watched as they come out, or so I've watched them a long time ago. Todd normally comes in maybe a few months before we start actually writing for it. And then the second time I'll do it is I will actually go through before I actually write anything, and I will take the footage and I'll be like, okay, I kind of like that scene. I kind of like that scene. I kind of like that scene. I like that scene. I like that scene. I'll just start picking a bunch of random fights or moments or cool little things that I like, and then I'll edit those together, and then I'll be like, okay. So based off what I'm looking at here, because I might have to completely restructure the footage based off of like what I'm picking or what's feasible, I'll take that footage that I have now edited and I'll write the script around that. So that way I'm not sitting there like I'm writing this one scene and I just have to hope it matches the footage. No, I have the footage right there and I could say it's not going to work with the footage, or yeah, this will work with the footage. This will work.
Okay, yeah, that I just, I guess I'm never going to be able to do the filming stuff, but yeah, it is kind of interesting how I kind of do a similar thing these days where, as much as I hate watching that Sentai, I am rewatching some Go Sager stuff just to figure out what Sentai footage I can use. So it's cool to hear that like people who are actually bringing their work to film actually do a similar process. That's very cool.
Now, one thing I will say, never, ever, ever say you will never be able to do something, because we never thought we'd be able to do this. So if you got an idea for something, do it.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. You never win at something without taking the first step. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, obviously that's true. Never say never.
Never say never. So go out there and do it. I want to see production notes as early as tomorrow. Get out there, man. You go look for those damn stairs.
Nathan, in the words of our favorite friend, never give up.
Well,
I can narrow that down to 3 people.
Take a guess.
It's either Max, Danny, or Troy, and I'm going to guess it's Troy.
No, it's Max. No. Is that his name? No, it's Danny. Danny. That's
the Black Ranger?
Yeah,
yeah, that's Danny.
Yeah, I was going to say it's either Max, Danny, or Troy. I know it's one of those 3.
Danny. We met him at Ranger Stop last year, and he was an amazing person.
Yeah.
Made me have more respect for the Wild Force season.
Now, one thing I will say, So like for the most part, like the general story structure and the editing is something that I mostly taken care of. A lot of our bigger jokes though, that's Todd. Todd's our funny man.
Oh, thank
Dude,
you.
that action figure line, I think it was in episode 2. Oh my god, you had me going for that one for a bit.
Yeah, a lot of those more like meta jokes. So you're like, I'll buy this. Like I would buy this toy. Toys assemble, 100% him. The gun joke in episode 1 at the very end was 100% him. I remember when he pitched that to me. I'm just like, that's so hilariously dark, and I need it. And then I just kind of wrote everything else around it.
That's so great.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
totally.
Yeah. So you guys have mentioned it. You guys watch a lot of Toku, as like your own like hobby of stuff to watch. What are some of your favorite Sentais?
I haven't really seen that many. Believe it or not, I've seen Go Ranger, Lupin Ranger. Obviously
ToQger.
ToQger. Right now, if I had to pick one, it would be Lupin Ranger.
The Ranger's so kick ass.
I just love the premise.
You've watched some of early Kamen Rider, haven't you?
And yeah, early Kamen Rider. I've seen Japanese Spider-Man.
Ooh, that's what I want to
Yeah,
watch.
I gotta check that out.
Ultraman.
Actually, not that much of Ultraman.
Really?
I've seen 2 of the movies, and I've seen Ultra Q, but not Ultraman.
Revelations of Roommates.
Well,
My personal favorite Sentai is obviously the one that's hanging on my back wall right there. But
I mean,
'cause,
you have good taste.
I'm just basic, frankly. Like in terms of Sentai, my top 3 are Gokaiger, Lupin Ranger. I'd probably say Shinkenger. ToQger. I'd say ToQger is in my top 5 actually. It's always which I don't understand what the hate is around it. I think it's absolutely hilarious. In terms of like, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna make a comment about the ToQger hate. We started Toku Secrets with ToQger almost 10 years ago.
I swear,
And
everything comes back to ToQger.
it does. And, when we were watching it, I think I liked it. I don't remember anymore. I was going to go back and listen to what I said 10 years ago. But in the years between, I was like, ToQger's fairly mid compared to like the Gokaiger, the Senkenzer, the World. But, I've been kind of looking at ToQger again because of Rail Riders. And I kind of want to give ToQger another watch through just because I feel like I'm judging it harshly right now, more than I should be.
I think it's a lot of people's perception because it presents itself as very childish and very kiddie until you really sit down and you get further through it, then you're like, oh, this is actually really messed up. Especially like Orange's backstory, where like, I'm sorry, how do you have a suicidal ranger and you're just like, this is too childish for me, homie? This guy's literally trying to off himself every single episode, and I'm pretty sure the main bad I'm pretty sure he's a sexual predator.
yeah.
Yeah. And see, that it's when I started thinking about Orange again that I started to remember, okay, this Sentai was really deep. It had a lot going for it. And so it's made me rethink it because right now in Toku Secrets, our team is going through all of the Kobayashi work. So Senkenzer, Go Buster, Time Ranger, Gingaman, ToQger. Am I missing anything, Nate?
No, that's all of them.
That's all. Yeah. So we're gonna go through all of these, and then we have another writer of Sentai. I can't remember her name, so Nathan's gonna have to help me out here.
Naruhisa Aikawa.
There we go.
Aikawa.
And
Who
they
did
are.
Actually, go ahead, Riz. I'll
I think
tell later.
the ones I remember are Deca and Abba Ranger, but I don't know what else.
First of all, I mispronounced it. It's Naruhisa Arakawa, and he did Aba Ranger, he did Deca Ranger, and he also did Gokaiger. I can't remember all the other ones though, but those are the big three that he was responsible for.
Yeah, so it's making me rethink my ToQger position because at the end of this huge watch through we're doing of these two writers, we're gonna have a versus between the two writers and their respective Sentais and declare which writer is truly the Sentai GOAT.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, ToQger was one black mark I kind of held over on Kobayashi. So I'm really rethinking that position a lot more, partly because I watched Rail Riders and it's like, wait, hold up. I remember Orange now. I remember this whole story. I'm being a little mean. And yes, Nate, I can admit when I'm being mean.
Yeah, totally. I mean, maybe this might not apply to Riz so much, but it might have also been with the fact that like some people just like a lot of people may forget this, but like ToQger was airing around the same time that Kamen Rider Gaim was coming out, and Gaim was, I mean, Riz has never seen it, but Gaim was like a Kamen Rider season that just totally blew everyone's mind.
Yeah,
So
Gaim
when
is
you
hands
see-
down my favorite Kamen Rider season. No
yeah, it's one of my
question.
favorites too. And so seeing ToQger be not as epic as what Gaim was might have hurt it a little bit in the eyes of people. But I mean, I don't know. I feel half tempted to like look it up myself too, because I don't know. Maybe looking at it again. I mean, for context, I mean, the last two Sentais that we've watched, I've had these two characters who, when I originally watched it, I didn't hate them, but I thought they were weaker characters. And now here we are reviewing these Sentais again, and I'm like, oh my, these characters are actually not as bad as I remember. So maybe ToQger will be the same for me.
Yeah, Nathan has done it twice now where he tells me, yeah, Riz, you're gonna dislike Time Ranger Green, you're gonna dislike Ginga Man Yellow, and I'm just sitting here like, what? I actually love these guys. What are you talking about?
I hate Ginga Man. It's one of my least favorite Sentais.
Really?
Hate
Why
it.
is that?
It's so boring. It's so freaking boring. See, my opinion is that you can hand me a bad show and I might still be able to find something enjoyable about it, like Go Busters. I think Go Busters is a badly written show. That's just my opinion. But I can still find some merit in it. Ginga Man just puts me to sleep. That again, in my opinion, is the biggest sin you can commit when it comes to media. Is the moment you make me want to snooze.
Then I would give you a word of advice to never watch Goggle 5.
Really? That boring?
Yeah. Oh, right now, like I'm kind of I'm trying to be in a position where I've been able to watch every Sentai ever. So I've watched, like last year, I was watching pretty much the entire show era minus the stuff I had already seen. So I have now seen every Sentai from Go Ranger to ToQger.
Damn.
I also watched King Oger. I finished it. I was watching it as it aired, so I have King Oger on that list. And I'm currently watching Ninja, and I'm doing everything all the way up to Dawn Brothers, basically.
May God have mercy on his soul for watching Ninja.
I don't think Ninja's that bad, honestly. I watched it
Yeah.
as it was coming out. It's not good. It has a lot of problems, but it has its merits. It can be fun.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was. I mean, but
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it another chance, I guess, because you've been telling me that for a couple of days now.
not that it's great. I mean, I from a technicality standpoint, I would probably say that it's the worst Ninja Sentai because I mean, I think
Yeah.
Kaku Ranger and Hurricane are both much better.
Yeah,
seasons,
Kaku Ranger's solid.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ninja, I mean, it's not bad, but
Yeah. So to kind of get back on track with a Rail Riders podcast. That was unintentional, by the way. So I know y'all are focused on the Power Rangers properties right now, things that have not aired via American broadcast, but I noticed when I went through a YouTube channel over the last couple of months, that you have a fair amount of DC related content. Like I saw something for Harlequin, I saw something for I think Red Lantern, was it?
Mhm.
And so I'm just kind of wondering, what are the other things y'all have done? Is there more than DC and Power Rangers, or is that basically what y'all have done so far?
Are you talking about in general, in terms of
In
fan films?
general,
In
and,
general, so
and
we've done a lot of things. A lot of
okay,
things. Mostly narrative short films. We've worked with Davy Chappie a lot. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a big D&D YouTuber. We've worked on Pokemon films. We've worked on Spider-Man films. And again, these are all like with various people that we know. We've worked on student films. We've worked on feature films. We've worked on all kinds of stuff through various channels and various means, commercial work. Because we do this professionally. We've done it for a long time. We haven't done as much recently because Power Rangers is kind of taken a lot of our time, and B, just there isn't as much work right now. But for me,
so
yeah, we've
okay.
been going around the block for quite a while.
See, this is like your 8 to 5 job, quote unquote, that y'all are film producers and writers. No.
Nope.
No.
If it was, if it was, there would be other projects. I can tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
No, we have real 9 to 5 jobs. That's actually how we pay for these projects.
Yeah, I'm an office manager at a small company, and
Gotcha.
Todd, do you want to reveal what you do? The mysterious epic job.
Which one?
The main one that you constantly come home and say, "Tell me not to quit. Tell me not to quit. For the love of God, please tell me not to quit."
Oh, the Home Depot.
Oh Lord.
Retail.
Yeah, retail will do that to you, from what I hear.
Yeah, but I've worked in I've worked in the medical field for a long time, and then COVID. So I said, "No, thank you. I'm tired of watching people die."
Yeah.
I got out of there a couple years ago. I'm looking to go back, but this is mostly like side work. Like we have a lot of friends who do this as like a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday type deal. Like this is their breadwinning job. But personally, for me, I don't see it ever going that way. And the main reason for that is, well, one, burnout. I've watched so many people hit burnout and just quit. I never personally want to hit that point. And I feel like if I were to ever do it as a 9 to 5, I would. And two, and of course we obviously do hit burnout at points, but like I'm talking like total, I'm gone, I'm leaving tomorrow burnout. And two, it's such a volatile industry. There's no guarantee you're gonna be able to pay your bills. So I could sit here and I could say, yeah, I'm a videographer full time, I'm a photographer full time, but it's all at the whims of supply and demand because it's a very oversaturated job market, especially when you live in Detroit of all places, where everybody is a creative, everyone's a filmmaker, a videographer, a musician. Everybody down here it's a very big creative hub. Everybody's fighting tooth and nail for those big jobs, small jobs, whatever. That there's just not enough to be sustainable.
That's very interesting. I never considered Detroit to be that kind of hub.
Oh, it's huge.
Wow.
It used to be a lot bigger, and then they took away the film incentives. So like a lot of films like Transformers, Batman versus Superman, a lot of those movies got shot here in Detroit. But when they took away the film incentives, a lot of it died out. But yeah, for the longest time, Detroit's really, really creatively focused.
Yeah, that's how it was when I lived in Louisiana, is that they had a lot of creatives there because the movie industry
Like
was
in New Orleans.
I was in Lafayette, which
Mm.
is 2 hours west of New Orleans. And
that's how it.
Good.
Sorry, Riz. That's how it is here in Atlanta too. There's a lot of stuff filmed here. In fact,
Yeah.
Atlanta's one of the biggest.
In fact, at the high school that I graduated from, there were some scenes from my high school where they filmed. I know that they filmed that old Denzel Washington football movie. Remember the Titans? A couple of scenes
Really?
were filmed at my old high school.
Yeah, Atlanta is considered I think it's either the second or third biggest state. Of course, there's California. I want to say it's either New York or Atlanta are the second biggest in terms of film production because they have a lot of film incentives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of jobs are down in Atlanta. A lot of our friends, when they can't find work up here and they're like, hey, we want to keep doing this, but we got to go to find work, they go to Atlanta.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to bring up another actor that we mentioned, Riz, like Jack Guzman, who played Danny in Wild Force, he lives in Buckhead, which is like literally right next door to where I live.
Yeah.
Like, getting work over here. So.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because when I heard that about him, I kind of wondered why Atlanta, but now that you say all this, that makes sense, especially with the film incentives because, Louisiana had a lot of incentive as well, and that's why people were able to come down here and film cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. I didn't know Detroit had that.
Mm-hmm.
When I think Detroit, I think of the automotive industry.
Yeah, that was probably about what, 30, 40 years ago, and that died
Right.
out pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's still here, but everybody's got a car nowadays, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not to get too far into the weeds, but I know Detroit has a little bit left just because when I was in grad school, we had an invitation to come to Detroit for a conference that's held every year for automotive vehicle security type stuff. I work in cybersecurity.
Hmm.
So, well, my thesis was on vehicle security and hacking vehicles and all that stuff. But yeah, they wanted to bring us out there. So that's why I think of Detroit for vehicles and automotive industries because of that.
That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Oh, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I did have one other question for them, just out of curiosity. I get why you said earlier that you want to keep it down and not get too carried away right from the starting gate. But would you ever envision yourselves like right now? I don't know how many episodes. I can't recall how many episodes of Gym Nights there were, but I know that there are meant to be 5 episodes of Rail Riders, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Would you ever envision yourselves potentially taking a full Sentai and doing way more than that, maybe the full length of an actual Sentai season?
I
just
see
out of
Todd
curiosity?
smiling.
No.
Okay.
Well, not a fool, but there's 2 Sentais that we're looking into that we're gonna have, I think, maybe 10 episodes for one of them.
Yeah. One of them we're talking about 10, one of them we're talking about 15. Of course that might shrink down, but that's around where we're trying to aim for. Because those are 2 of the bigger ones that we have planned. So I remember with Paladins, with Gem Paladins, the very first one we did, it was always intended to be 1 episode. Hey, 1 episode, see how this performs. If it does well, we'll go on to do the next thing. If it doesn't, we can wipe our hands clean and be like, all right, guys, we're done. And obviously it did way beyond expectation. I think we're at almost 500,000 views right now, and we were sitting there yeah, if it hits 10,000, we'll definitely go on to do another one. And again, we're now sitting at almost 500,000. I think the theme song is at what, 800,000, 700,000, something like that. Yeah, so it did way beyond any expectation we ever had. And I think Paladins originally, I think we only capped out at 30, 40,000, and once Rail Riders came out, it just had hit this huge new second wind that's still going. So yeah, with Paladins we're if this does well, we'll come back and we'll do Beast Hunters, ToQger, Rail Riders, all this stuff. Of course, it did all. It did gangbusters. We're like, all right, we're gonna greenlight the next two, and if these ones do well, we'll greenlight the next ones. And of course, Rail Riders did also about 500,000 views. Did again way beyond expectation. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna greenlight the project going from here on in. Because we have multiple seasons lined up. I can't necessarily say how many exactly because it kind of gives away which seasons those are going to be. I mean, a lot of people have pretty much guessed. It's not hard. It's not hard to tell. It's just what order we're going in. So the plan was always one episode for Gem Paladins, 2 episodes for Beast Hunters, which turned into 3, and then Rail Riders was going to be 3 episodes, and then it turned into 5. That just kind of came from like story progression. So like example, episode 1 and episode 2 of Rail Riders were originally intended as is, and then episode 3 turned into basically it got so big we're like, okay, we're gonna snap that in half and it's gonna become 3 and 4. Well, we kind of feel like we need something in the middle here. Let's insert a 3rd episode. So episode 3 was never originally on the plan. We were just gonna go straight into the next chunk of the story, but we're just like, this doesn't feel complete. There needs to be some kind of bridge here. So I ended up, I think it was like just before we started filming, or was it just before or just after that we started filming, Todd, that I wrote episode 3?
We were writing episode 3 like right before and like during.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like right as we were going into production. We were like, all right, I'm gonna write one more episode. I'm gonna keep it scaled down. It's just gonna be red, and it worked out. Where I was like, I don't feel right, making a whole nother episode and adding on all these extra days for all the actors. So I was just like, hey, Armand, who played Marcus the Red Ranger, I was like, hey, Armand, I'm gonna need you for a couple extra days, but just you. Come here. We're gonna do a focus episode just for you, buddy. And I stand by, best decision I could have made. Like, narratively looking at this story, I'm like, if we did not have this middle episode, this thing would not be it wouldn't be bad. I still stand by the Rail Riders is good top to bottom in terms of like the progression, but it would have gone way too fast. There would have been just something missing, and I'm glad I caught it before. It was too late.
Yeah, I was surprised with some of the things that came out in the order they did and how quickly. Like, for example, I didn't expect to see an orange in episode 2.
Yeah. Well, the way that we wrote it, that's the whole reason we put that little chunk at the very beginning of episode 1, is because, and we've also dropped some lines. If you pay really close attention, we've dropped some lines where this whole story takes place over the course of like 6 months.
Yep.
So it's just like, so in between episodes 1 and 2, we're about 2 to 3 months have passed between then. There's all these little side adventures that were never there. And I remember there was one joke I originally wanted to put in to a later episode, which was like the Rangers were going to be standing around, they were going to be talking about like some other random adventure they once had, and Blue was going to come up and be like, I what are you guys talking about? I never saw this. Oh, it was a filler episode, don't worry about it.
Awesome.
That ended up getting scrapped.
Sorry, go ahead. The main reason why like orange is like the reason why we're progressing so fast too is we took a lot of inspiration from Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Yeah.
And you're gonna there's gonna be a joke in episode 4 that's really gonna put that in perspective. Ugh.
Wait, what joke was that?
It's about the conductor talking about the other team.
Oh, that's right. That's right. No, I think that's. No, yeah, you're right. That is episode 4. I was like, it's either episode 4 or episode 5.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Speaking of
So
which, when is episode 4 coming out?
I'm currently editing it. We've got to go do some pickup shots. It's probably going to be next week, next Saturday. We got to go and we just got to do some extra shots with specifically Schwartz. That I thought I had Sentai footage for. Retroactively realized I don't, and was like, crap. I need to go shoot this real quick. Because, we wrapped production back in August of last year. So I'm still pulling these guys every once in a while. Be like, hey, so we kind of need some pickup shots with you for this, and that. Like, I've still got pickup shots I need to do with Blue and Green, with Schwartz. I still got to do pickup shots with the Conductor. I still got to do pickup shots with the main bad that hasn't been introduced yet. So the process is a little bit dicey, where the longest part of the process is realistically music, but we can't even start on the music until the whole cut is locked. So like our composer, his name is Jay Clark, and he's also the guy who takes care of all the theme songs. So basically what he tells us every episode is like, hey, this whole episode, even if it moves by like 1 second, it's going to completely, it causes this huge domino effect that just completely screws everything up. So when you hand this to me, it needs to be 100% edited, locked in, nothing's moving on the timeline, or I'm not touching it. So when there's pickup shots that I need to do, it kind of backs up the process. So originally, I think the plan was we were going to release episode 3 in February. I wanted to release it around Valentine's Day, but we had to go do pickup shots. So Jake couldn't start doing his thing for a while, and then it took an extra few weeks. And then we were going to have if everything had gone well, episode 4 was originally supposed to come out like next week again, because everything pushed down the track there.
Yeah.
If I had to give an honest estimate, probably late May, early June right now. I'm pushing for late May, with no firm guarantee. It all comes down to how fast I shoot everything that I need to finish, how fast I edit it, and how fast Jake does his part. I think this episode is going to be a little bit easier on that front, because so in terms of all of our episodes, obviously, like, episode 3 had very little Sentai footage. In fact, episode 3 was originally supposed to have, except for the very beginning, was not supposed to have any Sentai footage. That whole Megazord fight at the beginning, or at the end, was put in, like, last second. Was not supposed to be there. Yeah. Originally it was supposed to be like when the Rangers show up and they collect Marcus, and they were like, oh crap, what happened? Oh, I'll tell you on the way home, and then we were just going to end there. And then I was just sitting there like, this needs something.
It needs that scene.
Yeah, and I was like, and the dick train is right there.
We needed the dick train.
We needed the train strap on.
I saw their, I think it was their YouTube post, maybe, where they said, yes, we adapted that scene. I was like, oh, thank God. I was kind of wondering if they would ever adapt that.
And again, we originally weren't going to do it, not because we didn't want to, just because we didn't really have a place for it. And then we had this opportunity, and I was like, I got to do it. And all it's going to take is just getting a couple extra lines from the Rangers. Marcus actually still needed to go through a whole other round of ADR, so I was like, awesome. He has the most lines. We haven't done the villain yet, so I could just pull them when I was originally going to. Cool. The other 4, I get a couple of quick wild lines for them. I just, we're on set. Hey, speaking to this microphone real quick, bing, bam, boom, we're done. So it wasn't very hard for me to like get that taken care of. Episode 4 is going to be pretty much almost all Sentai footage. There's so much of it. Oh my God. I'd say, I want to say that episode's like 25 minutes, and like 18 minutes of it is just straight Sentai footage.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So you can imagine you're not going to see it on YouTube very much. Yeah, I've already tried it. Realistically, it's probably going to let the first like 8 minutes pass on YouTube. Whereas like the other episodes were like, yeah, you get the first like 20 minutes, you really only are cutting off the end. No, this time YouTube really came in and just like said, haha, no.
It's so unfortunate they do that.
I understand why, but I agree.
I mean, I understand why you understand, but I also recognize that there's just something. It doesn't make sense to me because they have the entire 20, 30 seasons of Power Rangers on YouTube, and that's a lot of Sentai footage with ADR dubbing over it.
It's officially licensed. For this,
But
they're just like, for this, they're just like, oh, well, you're using the footage even though it's completely repurposed and it's completely redubbed and there's all new music and everything's changed and it's completely re-edited. They still say no. I mean, Dragon Ball Z Abridged, they go through the same headache.
Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating that you go through that because YouTube is the biggest platform for your type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I've heard so many times people are just like, well, why don't you just put it on this random website or this random website? Like, well, for one, I've never heard of this website. I'm going to bet you nobody's ever heard of that website. Why would I put it on a website that nobody's ever heard of and no one's going to look at? Why don't I just do what I've been currently doing? Because people are then at least going to see it.
yeah, I mean, you guys putting it on YouTube gave me an entryway to at least see a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that brought me to your website to watch the full episode.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, I'm actually looking at right now, Todd. We never fixed the title.
We get fixed again. Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys have seen for episode 1, it's not actually listed as episode 1. Episode 2 and episode 1 are both listed as new passengers, so they're both titled as episode 2, and we don't know why, but every time we try to change it, because a lot of people keep saying like, well, where's episode 1? It's right there. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, it's mistitled. And every time we try to change it, it changes back, and we're like, we don't know what's happening.
So y'all want to hear a funny story about that?
I love funny stories about that.
So, like Nathan said at the beginning of the podcast, we decided to do Rail Riders on a whim because Anthony, Patrick, and I don't know who it was that was behind on watching the Sentai. One of us was. So we decided, screw it, we're going to watch Rail Riders. So I gave Nathan the link to your website. And Nathan went off, watched the episode, came back and said, okay, Rids, I'm ready to go. We start the podcast. I start talking about stuff and Nathan's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And so I was like, hold up. We paused the podcast. And he was like, Riz, I think I watched episode 2 and not episode 1.
My apologies, guys.
Because nothing that I said, he had any inkling what I'm talking about. He was like, wait, when did this happen? What are you talking about?
You talk about some guy trying to shoot himself? What? There's suicide in this? What? I'm so confused, but I'm intrigued.
Totally.
So he had to go watch episode 1. If it's a rated podcast. And then we recorded episode 2 right after because, well, we're there.
Yeah. So I have to ask, between episodes 1 and between the 3 episodes you guys have seen so far, which one would you say is your favorite?
I loved episode 2 for reasons of you guys did a phenomenal job of switching back and forth with the Sentai and the American footage. But episode 3 is very special to me because I like the Greta Armand back and forth. And I just love that was a plot line that y'all came up with.
My favorite joke will still forever, and this is one that was birthed from Todd, was the hot dog scene.
Yeah.
And I just remember he tells me this. Actually, no, Todd, what was it you told me when you pitched that scene to me?
I'm trying to remember.
Because you're referencing that episode of ToQger where it was red.
I always wanted I always wanted Shorts and Armand to eat together, because there was an episode where they're like they need to make a pact to eat, and Red is always hungry, so he just says, "We're gonna go to this restaurant in the middle of nowhere."
We're gonna like, eat
And
udon.
I
yeah,
just love his personality.
and we're
He's
just
so
like, well,
chill and laid back.
he makes hot dogs, and I thought it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I remember you coming in. You're just like, hold on, I have it. This is the scene we need to adapt, and I just want Schwartz eating a hot dog, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh god damn it, that's hilarious. And so, there's a joke that comes up in episode. Actually, if you pay attention, I think other than episode 2, there's a joke relating to hot dogs in like every single episode that we put in. It all kind of cultivates in this one stupid joke that we do at the very end. And I still remember when I pitched this joke to Marcus, he just looked at me and just said, "You hate me, don't you?" Why do you hate me? And I was just like, no, it's because I love you, and it's because I think this is gonna be the funniest thing I think this is gonna be the funniest thing ever. I guarantee you.
I mean, hey.
Oh yeah, so he comes in and he pitches that, and then I don't know why, but that moment, that real close up, and he's just like different, it just gets real close up in his face. I was just like, I don't know why, I just saw that moment so vividly in my head, and I remember shooting it, and none of us could hold a straight face. And then there was the scene with that we did later in that one that was completely improv. That one actually came like completely out, like again, that was shot completely on a whim. We're like, hot dog jokes. We just need stupid hot dog jokes throughout this entire thing. But it's gonna come into play at some point. I don't know how. Holy crap, I have an idea how. But it's gonna make sense, and it's gonna be ridiculous, and it's gonna be amazing.
So where'd you get the hot dog cart from? That doesn't seem like a normal prop you'd have.
Well, the original plan was we were gonna build one. And then, so basically what happened was, I don't know if you guys have seen our Instagram or our photos like from the set of Beast Hunters. But that set that we built was in a school called MPI, or the Motion Picture Institute. So it's like a little film school that's out here in Michigan. It's up in Troy.
Mm-hmm.
And that they got like this big sound stage, and that's currently where we're filming Beast Hunters. So in the room just over from the sound stage, one of the guys who runs it, he built a whole diner set, a full diner set with a grill and a jukebox and their seats and everything, and we're just like, so instead of us building this hot dog cart, can we just go use that? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. I was like, yes, thank you. So I called up Armand and Barbara, and I was just like, guys, get down here. We got to shoot this like right now. And we ended up shooting it. I think it was like on our rehearsal day for Beast Hunters. I think it was, yeah, we were doing like a big tech rehearsal for when we were shooting Beast Hunters, and I got them both up there to shoot this one little scene. And I just remember shooting that very first shot, which was just that close up of Armand just going, I think I'm coming. Because I told him, just improv this line. Like, this is just the general intent that I need. Just ad lib it. I had no idea what was going to come out of his mouth. He said that. And for like 5 straight takes, just that shit-eating grin on his face, I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't help but not laugh. So I ruined like 5 good takes of that shot, and they hated me for it so much. So yeah, it all comes down to just we've been around a long time. We know a lot of people. We know a lot of people, a lot of things, and we just I think that's kind of pretty much how this entire project has kept afloat or has been as successful as it is just, again, we started really, really small. We've worked our way from just being one or two of us to these large 30, 40, 50, 60 man crews. And it's just, hey, we've worked with these people, we've built these relationships over time, and eventually, one thing leads to the next. You just keep networking through this. Again, it takes a while, but eventually you end up with a whole diner.
That's impressive.
Yeah, totally.
So Nate, what was your favorite episode? Since I gave my answer.
Yeah, mine is 2 for the same reasons. I mean, well, because technically 2 was the first one that I watched, which, from a technical standpoint, but just watching it, like, I mean, just the way that they made the production with the seamless transitions between Sentai footage and you know the and the original footage was just great. I mean, it kind of reminded me of back when I had these. I used to have this whole vision that I remember when I was watching a Super Mega Force, and I just thought, man, this sucks. I could do something totally better with half the budget of this, and I always fantasized about doing this. And now seeing these people with Zenith actually doing that and doing it really well, on the scale of a Saban, just totally blew my mind. And of course, there's other things I like all the jokes that they make with Tomas. I believe that's the character's name for
Tomas.
Yeah, just it was I know technically it's not the first episode, but it was the first episode that I watched, and it was just a fun experience completely. So that's something that I don't think another well, I mean, obviously I'm gonna withhold what my favorite episode will be, with episodes 4 and 5, but 2 was just a very fun experience for me overall.
I will also say, I remember what moment it was in our podcast recording that made us realize what Nathan did. It was when he referenced Tomas, and I was like, whoa, hold up, what? I just remember that's what triggered me to be like, wait, hold up, we gotta talk.
So if both of your guys' favorite episode is 2, so do you have any specific moments or jokes that have really sold you guys, or that you just absolutely adored?
I think I loved the entire morphing thing in episode 2, where they're wanting to get the morph just right and the quarry, and they're like, we can't do that because of budget reasons or whatever it was that they said.
Guys, I just read the script. It said we're supposed to morph at a quarry. Shouldn't we go there? Nope. Why not? Budget.
I thought that was pretty clever because they always morph in a quarry in Sentai, and so having y'all poke fun at it while keeping the story moving, I thought that was pretty fun.
Thank you.
I also just loved every freaking moment Tomas is on screen in that episode. And he's trying to tell everyone their backstory.
That's what I was
we don't care. We don't care what your backstory. And I'm like, I actually want to hear the backstory because it'll remind me of the backstory from the Sentai, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to go watch the Sentai now, I guess.
I stand by, at least in 2, my favorite moment is the gun. I still remember coming up with that, and I was just like, "This is exactly how I want to do it." It came out just like how I wanted it. And with he just whips out a freaking Glock, like, whoa, what are you doing? Shooting him? You can't do that here. Why not? You use blasters all the time. Well, you see, that's a little different. We use lasers, and that is a Glock. And I remember at one point, I cannot for the life of me remember who it was. Somebody sat there and said, "Hey, let's not have a gun in Power Rangers." And I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was you, Todd. I think it was one of the cast members. And I was like, all right. And I was gonna change it to a trash can. It was gonna be this WWE moment where they're just gonna get a trash can slammed over their skull. And then I was like, no, you know what? The gun is 20 times funnier. I'm changing it back.
So, question on your cast,
yes.
Because when I was watching this, I was kind of curious. were these people all like Power Ranger or Toku fans, or did they just hear about this cool opportunity to be in a film and they just said, "Hey, sign me up. I don't care what it is"?
So, Barbaro, who played the Orange Ranger Tomas, he was in our first season. Have you guys seen Gem Paladins?
No, not yet. I
I
want
need to
to,
see
but
that.
I
Yeah.
was holding off on it until we did a review, which we need to schedule, you and Nate.
So, yeah, there was Barbaro was originally on our was on our first cast.
He
It
was yellow, right?
Yeah, he was yellow. I played our Red Ranger, which originally I wasn't gonna be, and I remember I remember sitting there because I was originally set to direct. Todd comes up to me, and he's just like, "I really think the character you wrote for this, he's fucking you. I think you need to be in this role." And I was like, "But that means we got to find another director, and I don't know how well I don't know if we're gonna be able to pull that off." And we ended up finding Marguerite Wazinski, which knocked the whole thing out of the park. So it was me, Barbaro, Autumn, Derek, Gina, and Miranda. And with Barbaro, he was actually a recast. It was originally going to be another friend of ours named Christian, and not that Christian, Todd, the different Christian. I don't think he was on Dying for a Roommate.
Yeah.
So he I got a hold of him through a buddy. Because we were looking for a Yellow Ranger. This is when things were still, kind of in their, not their infancy, but like they're, we're progressing a little bit. And he was like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, do you happen to know anyone who does martial arts, does anything like this?" And he was like, "I actually have a buddy of mine who was really big into MMPR back in the day." And he sends me the photo. I was like, "Homie, did you just send me Jason Momoa?" And I was just like, okay, I don't even audition this guy. Just for the fact that he looks like Jason Momoa, I want him. So I got a hold of him like that same night, and we just hit it off. Barbaro, awesome dude. And he ends up coming to be our Yellow Ranger. And then from there, because the plan was always everybody from the Paladins cast, one or two of them were going to go on to another season in new colors. So, Barbaro is returned as our Orange Ranger and Rail Riders. Me and Miranda, Red and Silver, are returning as Black and White and Beast Hunters. The other three are coming back in later seasons. I'm not going to say who or what. So yeah, he kind of got grandfathered into it, or I guess you could say grandfathered in. I'm not, or reprised. I'm not sure what word to use there. He brought me Armand, who played Marcus. And I still remember meeting Armand for the first time on a Pokemon fan film that still has never come out. Still, I would love to know whatever happened to that. I ended up meeting him, and I was just like, you. So imagine Marcus, but not as, but less, just a little less hyper and like really really intelligent. That's Armand. Armand is Marcus pretty much. I remember meeting him for the first time, seeing this like giant smile on his face, and I was just like, "You have the biggest, most infectious smile I've ever seen in my life. I want to audition you." Barbara had already kind of mentioned him to me, and then he again knocked it out of the park. Gave him the role of Red. For Blue, he was a buddy of our stunt coordinator, and he was a Power Rangers fan as well. His Ryan Cox, and then Green, who is played by Zach Davis, he was also a Power Rangers fan. He was a buddy of our first Green Ranger. So our Green Ranger from season 1 from Gem Paladins, her name's Autumn, was like, "Hey, I'm going to bring this guy in to play one of your foot soldiers." And then him and I hit it off, and we were like, "Hey, come be in the next cast." Yellow and Pink, those two were, I put out the casting call, and they're like, "Hey, let's, we got the experience to do this. Let's do it." So yeah, the guys at least all had experience and familiarity with like Tokusatsu and Power Rangers and all that. Zach especially had a lot of experience and knowledge of Kamen Rider and all that. He's a really big Toku fan. Whereas Jenna and Michelle were both pretty fresh to it. And I still remember poor Michelle. She was actually the 5th person who was supposed to take over Yellow. It was originally going to be it was originally supposed to be another legacy actor, so it was originally supposed to be the Pink Ranger from season 1. And I said, hold on, I got a better idea for you. I'm gonna move you seasons, and I'm gonna put somebody else in this role. Then I find a girl named Serena Chiapelli, and then Serena's like, hey, I'm moving to New York. This is like right before we started filming. And I was like, okay. So I had to let her go, and then we found another girl named Shannon Downer, and then she just ghosted us out of nowhere. Still, I to this day have no idea whatever happened to her. And then we found another girl named Heather Riddle, and Heather I thought was going to be our permanent person, and then there was something in the script that appears in episode 5 that was so heinous that she quit. She literally said, I am too she said and very very respectfully came up to me and she was like, Justin, I gotta tell you, man, I'm a very Christian woman. I have kids, and I cannot, like, I know I'm not technically involved in this specific moment, but I would never for the fact that I could never show this to my kids because of this one moment, I do not feel comfortable participating anymore. And I completely understood. It was so it is a moment that is so much messed up that it made somebody quit. I'll put it to you that way.
Dang.
Yep.
I want to see episode 5 now just to see what the heck it was. I'm curious as hell.
It's it's
Kind of curious about that, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the heck.
how about this? How about this? Because I know we're doing a separate one in between this. I'll tell you guys in between.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty fucked up.
Well, that's one thing that was fucked up in episode 5.
Oh yeah, that's right, your scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it only appears for one episode. It's just the last episode. I tried putting him in 4. It didn't quite work. Todd actually does have a role in it as one of the monsters in episode 5, and it's one. If you've seen ToQger, you probably noticed there's one like general monster, like one of the generals that hasn't appeared quite yet.
Yeah, I think.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So, like I said, I'll give more details in between.
Yeah.
But I think you guys are gonna find it funny.
So, Nate, you got any other questions?
None that I can think of, no.
Yeah, I think this is a really fun production you guys have been working on, and getting to meet both of y'all have just hyped me up a lot more about watching 4 and 5 and seeing where you guys go next. And I'm hoping at some point you don't have to say anything. You can wink if you want to. Wink once if yes, wink twice if no. If y'all do King Odzer, because that would be just it.
I can tell you right now, very firmly, we will never do King Odger. We're not. I will never do King Odger for one key reason. In my opinion, that is the only unadaptable Sentai. Because imagine, like with us trying to match locations.
Yeah.
Where is King Odger primarily shot?
On a different planet.
On a green screen.
Yeah.
We would have to not only, set that whole thing up to be completely shot against green screen, but we would also have to get those original files, or we'd have to completely recreate the entire thing, or we just have to completely recreate the show from scratch, which would cost millions of dollars. So for that one reason, King Odger, in my opinion, can never be adapted. I don't even think it could be adapted officially for that reason.
Yeah, I would struggle with that as well, honestly, thinking about the green screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it wasn't for that one element, I'd be like, maybe, but there was also a point where we kind of had to, put a cut off. And I remember Todd came up to me, and he was just like, every time the new Sentai comes out, and he's just like, we're not adapting it. I was like, we haven't even seen it yet. We're not adapting it. We haven't seen it yet. I know we're not going to adapt. He's just like, well, I know you're going to want to adapt it.
Don't you want to adapt Power Rangers Rim Job?
Okay. So I want to do Boom Boonjer. And I want to call it Power Rangers Rim Job. I will only do it if I get to call it Power Rangers Rim Job. And we're currently talking. We have no confirmation. If we do it, it's just going to be a theme song. That's it. We're not going to do a full adaptation just because it's going to take way too much more into our. It's going to eat too much into our resources and too much into our time. Like eventually, there's going to come a point where we just got to say, hey, we got to put this project to bed. Eventually, it just has to end. And if with Super Sentai, if we just keep adding every season that comes out, it's never going to end.
Yeah.
So that's why we set up our story. We gave ourselves a hard cutoff, and if we do anything else, it's going to be supplementary stuff. Like, hey, we might do a quick little fan morph. We might do an opening, and it's purely just, hey, we need to inject some new views into this to help promote the future stuff. But we will not do so. Like, we're not doing King Oger. We're not doing Boom Boonjer. We're not doing whatever comes after Boom Boonjer.
But the 50th.
We can't do it. we gotta cut it off.
Those characters come back, Justin.
Well, we gotta. I guess that we'll talk about it then, but that's a year away.
Well, okay. What happened to you telling Nathan a half an hour ago? Don't ever say never doing this.
Okay, so there's a difference. There's a difference between starting it and adding things in. Because yes, I can sit here and I can say don't never say never, but there's a point where you just have to tell yourself no. You have to put a limit. Because if you don't put a limit and you just let this thing run into infinitum, you're gonna run yourself ragged. You're gonna burn through every resource you could possibly have, and eventually your audience is just gonna gone. Eventually, you just gotta move on to something new. And we're already looking down the barrel of like a multi-year project.
Yeah.
So at some point, we just gotta sit here and be like, we got to put a light at the end of the tunnel. If we keep moving that goalpost, there's going to come a point where, like, now we're sitting here like, oh, this sounds fun. This sounds awesome. 5 years from now, we're like, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't want to keep doing this anymore. When are we ending? Oh, we added another one? Son of a bitch.
No,
I think 9 adaptations is a good number.
9?
9?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's only the original plan's still 6. No, it's 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the one I really want to do.
I'm gonna guess that's.
Oh, is it the?
Yep.
Well, hold on, because there's 2. Oh no, you're right. There is technically 9.
Yeah, there's technically 9. Yeah.
Do we want to mention those or?
We can mention the original. I don't want to say anything about.
So we're talking about the short one or the slightly bigger one?
The shorter one.
Okay, so yeah, there was a promotional idea that we had. This is before Paladins came out, where I really wanted to do like a short fight scene for Go Ranger, and the idea was gonna be the Paladins, the original cast, and they're gonna be hanging out, they're chilling, they're watching TV, and here comes the Silver Ranger, kicks in the door. Guys, oh my gosh, I just found this VHS. You guys gotta see it. It's like this dusty piece of crap. Pops it in, and there's Go Ranger, and kind of doing it in the same vein. We get a cast. They're doing the morphs, they're doing all that. We were gonna dumb it down. We're gonna make it look like it was from the 70s. And the idea was just gonna be like a 3-minute short little thing, and it was gonna be the cast just sitting there just watching Go Ranger and just like, this is so bad. This is terrible.
This sounds like y'all took a page out of Dino Thunder.
Yeah, kind of, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. But again, it was just supposed to be like a little promotional, like 2-3 minute thing that we were originally going to do last year. We didn't get around to doing it. We plan to do it eventually, but again, it's just going to be like a little promotional thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever plan? I know it might be difficult to do it given your cast and capability, but would you ever do like a crossover between Sam Paladins or Rail Riders or something? I know you have a lot of overlap in cast, but have you ever considered it?
No.
I see it's just.
I mean, that's fair, bro.
Message received.
No.
No, don't.
No.
Don't wait until Don't wait until season 5.
I mean, you could go out with an in-game bang. I don't know.
No, we haven't. No, we didn't. No.
I mean, look, Nate. This could be another legendary battle.
Totally.
No. We plan to make it better than the legendary battle.
I mean, fair, but the concept of it, especially given Justin is such a Gokai fan.
I'm not gonna lie. We might or might not currently be in the process of trying to get a hold of Andrew Gray. I'll put it to you that way. If that tells you anything.
I still think my original idea for that character is better.
Funnier than hell. It was an idea that we had for. We were actually at a con. We met Hector David Jr., who played the Green Samurai Ranger. We pitched him an idea, and he looked at us and said, "Call me when you get around to this. I want to do this. Please let me do this."
Is it Forever Green?
Huh?
Is it Forever Green?
No.
Okay, because we did a podcast with Hector last month.
Yeah,
last month, and Hector mentioned on a podcast if we could ever find a group that could do Forever Green with him, and he would get like all the other greens to get his hands on to do a fan film, he would be so down for it.
Hector's such a cool dude, man.
Dude, he was so fun. If you haven't checked out that podcast with him, I really recommend checking it out. It's a whole lot of fun with him.
Yeah, he lives in. I think he said he lives in Iowa. He actually doesn't live.
Idaho.
Oh, is it Idaho?
Yeah.
Damn, I thought he said Iowa. I was like, man, he doesn't live too far from Michigan. I'm like, Idaho. Ooh, that's back west.
Yeah, I only remember that because I used to live in Idaho for a summer.
I used to live in Washington. That's where I was raised.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did a summer in Idaho for my grad school internship, and when he mentioned where he was from, I was like, you weren't too far from where I did my internship.
Oh, snap.
But at the time, he didn't live there. I think he was in Florida at that point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, great guy. I loved hanging out with him. We met him at Ranger Stop last year. We tried so many times to coordinate doing an interview with him in person at Ranger Stop, but with the Ranger Stop schedule, his commitment, and just timing, we could never make it happen there. So he gave us his personal email and said, hey, later on, when y'all have time, let's do this online or something. So I said, okay, bet, we're going to do this online. So we did. And it took us half a year to figure it out, but hey, we made it.
Better late than
never. Made it happen.
Yeah.
All
right.
Did you have any other questions, Riz?
Nope. I was about to say, you probably want to wrap us up, Nate. We've been going on for much longer than I expected.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, we do want to thank Justin and Todd for taking the time to appear on the Toku Secrets podcast. We very much
thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. This will probably. Sorry, I was going to say this will probably be the first of many times that we bring you guys back.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah,
awesome. That'll be fun.
Just for different promotions of your next seasons and whatever y'all do, we'd like to continue supporting the best we can.
Yeah, because
thank you.
We really want to, support and promote all the fan-made content because we definitely, a lot more of that stuff should be made, and we should definitely do our part to help promote it. So
it's definitely appreciated, guys.
Rizwan has a very ambitious idea and goal that he hasn't told you guys about yet, but it's something I'm working on in the background that I'm going to start pulling together over the next year, and it involves you guys. So,
all right,
I'm scared.
It's not a big deal.
But on that ominous note, we thank everybody. Once again, we thank Justin and Todd for appearing on our podcast. We thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the videos, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. You can leave comments down below for our feedback, or if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, first of all, we thank you so much for listening. Leave us a review out of 5 stars, and you can reach out to us on our website, animesecrets.org, to give us feedback, and leave us any feedback on there. And you can also leave us feedback on our social media pages. And that about wraps this up. We thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Definitely check out Zenith Films' productions of Jim Paladins and Rail Riders if you haven't already. And we will see you guys next time in our next podcast. But until that time, you guys stay safe. We love you, and may the power protect you.